Hey everybody, I'm Matt Hill. I'm here in Oklahoma City at the Energy Workforce and Technology Council meeting, and they obviously had amazing speakers. One of them is Joe. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, Joe Hoepfl. I'm a partner with PPHB, an independent investment banking firm in Houston, Texas, focused on the oilfield services industry.
I do a lot of interviews, and the financial side of what we do is fascinating. And a lot of people, you know, energy education, energy literacy. We really need to know more about, the moving cash flow behind everything we do here for the operators, for the service companies. So I'm very appreciative of you coming to, explain just a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes and why we need each other so much. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Texas, went to A&M for undergrad, and grew up in the oilfield. My
Man,
dad was with Cameron for 35 years.
good
And then
company.
I ultimately entered into the oilfield through Pool Energy Services, migrated to the E&P side for a short period at Apache Corporation, and then after getting a grad school degree, pivoted to investment banking and really got into M&A, private capital formation for the oilfield services industry.
You were pro oil and gas, and you thought, hey, I'm going to use my knowledge and background and really help us all out.
Absolutely. It's always been about leveraging that expertise and experience from early in my career, now being able to bring that value to clients.
Well, you've done a good job. I mean, what you set up there is fascinating. Give everyone maybe a 30,000-foot view of what you just talked about.
Sure. So we really talked a little bit about the health and the outlook of the oilfield industry, and really the fact that for the last several years there's been a dearth of capital that has just not been available to oilfield service companies. It started even with the operators, where they had changed their approach to, instead of growth and the focus on growth, is really about return on capital employed. That lack of capital investment now is showing itself, and I think as we see demand continue to recover, supply is not going to be able to keep up at a pace appropriate, and we will see increases into commodity prices. But oilfield service companies, E&P companies, they're all focused on return on capital employed, and that's going to continue to drive cash flow generation and a disciplined approach around growth.
Yeah, the hockey sticks are there. I mean, it's easy to see, when you look at, that 30,000-foot view that, hey, energy demand, it's going to rise and rise and rise. The whole world is energy hungry.
Absolutely.
Nations around the globe deserve an abundant, reliable resource, which oil and gas provide. And as they, understand that, they're going to look to, partnerships like the United States, people that want to produce natural gas and oil and send it to them, and with their best interests in mind, which is liberty and freedom, and not our enemies, if you will. So I think our United States is set up to do that.
I 100% agree, and we're doing it in a cleaner way than anyone else in the world. But yet, sometimes our political establishment here in the U.S., and certainly the broader narrative around ESG and climate change and all the other negative sentiments around fossil fuels, really doesn't seem to recognize that. And I think the idea that we're just going to move to renewables or remove ourselves from fossil fuels in our lifetime is just a fallacy.
It's just an energy education, divot that we may have produced ourselves, because I think our industry is the best at putting our nose to the grindstone, working really hard, and we look up a decade later and find out that there's been this whole other narrative pushing against us.
Absolutely. The narrative absolutely is the demonization of fossil fuels. And instead of us being able to proactively demonstrate, no, actually we're fueling the economy and fueling the standard of living in a much more healthy way than any other source of energy.
The world has never been cleaner.
Yeah, and we're not taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
But I think long term, this industry is going to be very, very healthy. Oil and gas is going to have a huge role in the continued supply of energy, and that is not going to change.
It may not even be energy education that pushes that wave back. It might simply be young people that are getting into the marketplace in jobs and looking to, like, hey, I got to do something other than just work. I need to invest my money, and they look at everybody's sheets and they're like, oh my gosh, oil and gas is the best return on my investment.
I think it's going to be the return on investment will drive investors back. And it's also going to have to be a realization that it's one thing to say we're all going to now transition to electric vehicles. but the power has to be generated somewhere still.
Natural gas. I'm so. Are you bull? I'm so long and bullish on natural gas.
I think natural gas long term, absolutely. I think for the next year or two, there's some clear headwinds just because there's so much available supply here in the U.S. But as LNG takeaway capacity comes more online, and that's really featured around 2025, I think natural gas then has a very, very strong outlook, and it's going to be very long term in nature there because there's so many global communities that need natural gas, and I think we're going to be a big supplier of that.
You heard it here, folks. Oklahoma is the next Dubai.
There we go.
You're welcome to come up here and visit our towers with our pools and our indoor ski resorts.
Yeah, well, I think
we love Texans.
We're going to be building in Houston too. So,
hey, thank you so much for doing this with me. I'm fascinated by what you do. Thank you for dumbing it down for guys like me. And,
I don't think I have to do that.
Next time I'm in Houston, I'll hit you up for more.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. God bless you. Bye bye. Ta-da.